Call to order for the Bartlett Economic Development Commission meeting of July 8th, 2024. May we have a roll call, Tony?
Yes, Jerry Cabasco.
Here.
Kirsten Erickson.
Here.
Robert Perry is not here. Bruce Suffern. Nanette Gutenkopf. Adam Lewinsky. Robert Gorski.
Here.
Mike Densford. Great. Thank you.
Okay, next agenda item would be the approval of the previous meeting 2 months ago from May 13th. Do we have any discussion on the May 13th, 2024 minutes? Or do we have a motion to approve?
A motion to approve the meeting notes from May 3rd.
Aye, motion approved. Moving on
Matt and Ann? Okay.
to agenda item number 4 would be public comments. If there's anybody in the public sitting out there that would like to make a comment, please come forward now or forever hold your peace. Doesn't appear to be anybody out there that I can see. So we'll move on to the main portion of the agenda, which would be number 5, community branding rollout. You're going to tell us about it, Tony?
Thank you, Jerry. I'd be glad to. I think the last time we talked about this, about 2 months ago or so, we were telling you what the branding slogan and logo is that was devised by our branding consultants, A5, and then ultimately approved by the village board after mulling it over. I don't know why this is flashing on and off a little bit, but we were having a hard time getting this connected today. But anyway, so you all know already that it's We Belong in Bartlett. That can also be changed to I Belong or You Belong in Bartlett, which is actually one of the things that I personally like about it. To be honest, I've never seen, I did a lot of research while we were doing branding and seeing what other towns were doing and looking at other states. And to be honest, I'd never seen one that had kind of different iterations of it like this. Thought it was a little odd at first, but then go, okay, we can change it up as need be for different uses, whether it's for business retention or just really promoting local events, making people feel like they belong. And then there's an economic development component to it, of course, which is why we discuss it at the Economic Development Commission. And it was over a year ago, we were kind of tweaking the RFP, well over a year ago. It was actually close to a year ago when we started kind of sifting through some of the answers or some of the replies. So we've been working with A5 for a number of months. We meet with them typically once per week. Didn't meet with them today, but you can see there's some of the We Belong t-shirts up here. Scott's going to see if he can't improve our connectivity here. I happen, after 19 years of staffing EDC meetings, I was telling everybody I've never worn a t-shirt to one before. So here you go, the I Belong in Bartlett. And what you see here when it flashes on, this was a banner they had designed for our use in the 4th of July parade. But you'll see a lot of the artwork that we're currently using kind of looks the same. They had a professional photographer come out about a month ago and wanted one industrial user to represent the business park, and the owner at Get Fresh there and his team were volunteered to do that, agreed to be photographed. Actually took about several hundred photographs probably of each one. There you can see a BETA recipient, Rebecca, of the bakery across the street, and you can see one of the friends of the Moore Brewing family there. So anyway, here's the update on the We Belong in Bartlett campaign. Like I said, we've been meeting about it continually. And so I probably don't have to beat this to death because we've talked about it a number of times, what the goals are. And as I've mentioned, the goals can be different based on our need to promote, the business community is something that we always talk about here, to increase traffic to local businesses and maintain high business retention rates. And that's what you see when you see us promoting a particular business, whether it's Mike's Barbershop, or it's the shops at Banbury Fair, or a member of the Chamber of Commerce, or whoever it may be. We use that to promote local businesses to help in business retention. Also, to expand regional awareness and attract some visitors from surrounding areas. There's only so many residents you can capture as a business over and over and over again, and for a lot of the businesses in town to be successful or more successful than they are, or to continue growing, need to drive some traffic from out of town. And again, the business owners and reps here on the EDC are well aware of the importance of having a customer base that extends beyond the village's boundaries. We talk about downtown all the time here. That's one of the things you'll see. It's not going to be exclusive to the downtown businesses. We're branding a village as a whole. That's one of the goals of it. But in terms of the small mom and pop businesses that we spend so much time trying to boost, you're going to see mostly businesses of that nature promoted rather than, say, McDonald's. I mean, eventually you're going to see the Home Depot and maybe some of the regional or national chains out on Route 59 in Stearns area, but a lot of this is also focused on promoting the downtown. And then recreational opportunities. As I mentioned, the first round of photos that you see there, and you'll see more of later on this presentation, were with local businesses, how we started out. But the next round, with the next time the photographer comes through, we're going to get some of the cultural and recreational amenities. We're going to go out to the state park. We're going to get some nice photos of a perfect day at Bartlett Hills. You're going to see some of the other things besides just businesses promoted here: bike trails, state park, golf course, etc. So we live in a world here with the EDC and our staff where we work within a budget. Scott's typically the one responsible who gathers a lot of information from various sources and helps put together the overall budget. So we're going to keep this under $50,000 this year. If you recall, we started off, I think, Scott may correct me, I think we had $25,000 budgeted for the fiscal year that ended at the end of April. And that was spent, a lot of the focus groups and the designers doing different designs for it and everything like that. So now that we're in the launching phase in terms of our branding, it's not a cheap endeavor, so to speak, but we've planned for it to roll out through a number of years. So we've allocated up really in like the $40-ish thousand to $50,000 range.
And just to add a comment, if you're not impressed yet, you're not supposed to be. It's not a flash sale. We don't sell widgets in village government. It's selling a way of life. It's supposed to be slow, momentum, gaining, drip, drip, drip. So it's very different than the private sector.
That is absolutely correct. And when I mention fiscal years, and a lot of the respective businesses you've been affiliated with have their own fiscal years, ours goes May 1st through April 30th. So this isn't the last time you're going to see branding information at the EDC. We have plans. This is what we talk about a lot when we meet on pretty much every Monday, of what we might do a certain month. You're going to see some exciting things come up. And so the allocation of it, social media ads and boosts, that'll be something that's more or less continuous. Google ads, we haven't started with that yet. That's something we actually had a presentation here years ago about that. right around when the pandemic started, and I know the chamber has had a couple of presentations over the years about how to do boosts through Google advertising. So we're going to be doing that as well as a village. Some of the more expensive things that we'll be talking about later in the year and early next year will be some media appearances, including potentially WGN and radio on WGN and WBBM.
Tony, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Of the $50,000, what percentage goes to each of those little six?
Well, as of now, it's kind of to be determined. Our consultants, A5, and we mentioned this, that they've done this so many times. So there's various costs. Some of these are paid media opportunities, like the WGN Hometown has a specific cost attached to it. So we're still kind of flushing out the budget on that. Anyway, the more expensive ones are the media appearance.
How'd the terminology come about? I belong, we belong, and all that? Through the focus groups?
Well, the branding consultants came up with it. I think they had 3 different suggestions or possible. I think after all the focus groups and studying the village and all the meetings we've had with them, they came up with 4. We said that one of them was absolutely not something we wanted to pursue. And by my recollection, they presented 3 of them to the village board. One of them was like better in Bartlett, and one of them was something along the lines of good for us. And this was the first one they showed us, and to be honest, the very first minute that they showed it to us at the first meeting we had in Village Hall, it stood out above the other ones. But ultimately, it was the village board that picked it.
Yeah. Who comprised the focus groups? People from Bartlett?
Well, as staffers, Scott and I assisted in putting it together, but the actual groups were conducted by the consultants, including the workshop that we did in that room a year ago with the EDC was one of them.
Yeah, and one of the nice things about the focus groups for this particular group, it actually included U46. They sent a survey out to all Bartlett schools and their parents. And on top of that was various civic groups and surveys at National Night Out.
Yeah, remember they had a survey with they wanted to get 1,000 responses and ultimately got like 1,050. We were kind of pushing that for a while, and the chamber was pushing it as well.
And we did our own internal survey 2 years prior to that had like 1,200 responses, and they used that as well.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of feedback from the Bartlett residents then?
Yeah, it's a simple message, but after a lot of thought and process.
So, if I might ask another question. Sure. When we talked about this before, and I really liked the idea and liked the campaign and everything, we talked about having some signs for the residents to kind of have a permanent sign to reinforce. For example, I took my grandchildren to Bartlett Park, to the big handicap park, whatever it's called now. You know, I was so proud of that park. And whether it's that park or the aquatic center or Jerry Pate, whatever the nature center is, we have these great assets that I would, again, encourage you to consider some kind of signage to reinforce to the citizens kind of a good feel.
Yeah, I completely agree. Your idea is not just an idea, it's something that's being discussed very frequently as we talk about.
Is that one of those things?
That's not one of these.
It's not one of those things, no. That's just the advertising. There are several areas in the town that are getting looked at for new right-of-ways. There's a particular area that's looking at a new park. The signage that you're discussing would be a village expense, I think, based on what you're saying. So it is something that we're gonna definitely look at for sure. The only thing we've purchased,
Residents,
oh, for sure.
pride in our community.
I love it. It's a great idea. We definitely have some plans. The only thing that we've spent money on so far is photographs and T-shirts. So it's very, very early on. This is a 3 to 4 year relationship,
I
but
think the Park District would want to participate and contribute.
yeah, very good, yep.
And we talked about it last time too, with like, you know, how everyone's doing selfies and everything all over the place, having those photo frames with the QR code on it, with the statements on it, and bringing those to things like, you know, 4th of July, Oktoberfest, different school events and things like that. You know, I mean, the DARE officer could use it, and, you know, just different ways that we could kind of have that little selfie frame out there.
We're gonna stay on that. It's a good idea, and it's kind of low-hanging fruit.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's an easy, quick one, because really it's people posting it themselves, and it grows organically that way, so
Right.
we'd love to have it at Oktoberfest.
I was just gonna say, between Oktoberfest,
Smoke and Irons,
Smoke and Irons,
the Labor Day Dash, the Lions.
something like that would be pretty neat. Frame thing at each event, and even giving a QR code to all the businesses, you know, the chamber could send it out.
I agree, but those things come and go. I like it for the event. July 4th is done. So all of that marketing effort is done. To have something that's 365 days a year, reinforcing.
Yeah, everybody's right. I love all the ideas. Yeah, it's a great thought.
You'll see it shown here at meetings in the coming months, for sure.
For the WGN hometown and like daytime Chicago and stuff, how far in advance do they book your dates? Is there plenty of time for us to build up the publicity that we're going to be on it? Because it seems like when I hear about the hometowns, and of course I'm not from that hometown, it seems like you're hearing about it just days before it.
Yeah, we're getting trying to get on the schedule for that closer to the holiday season. It's something you do plan out 4, 5, 6 months in advance. Different towns have to schedule it. I think they don't, you know, they only do it occasionally. So it's something it's one of the things we talk about when we meet with A5, about scheduling those.
Yeah, again, I apologize for the issues of this going out, but going back to Bruce's earlier question about the budget and which amount is allocated to which, there are finite periods of time where we can get into these certain appearances, and what we're looking at is our upcoming events in terms of Oktoberfest, Merry and Bright, Small Business Saturday, and the village is also going to do its first ever restaurant week. So depending on when that falls and how we want to organize our media, kind of depends on how much it costs, but those events will be part of what you see there.
This kind of continues the next slide, which is kind of more the same, but talks about a landing page that we've recently put in. I should also remind you once again, these are a lot of the components that come from our consultant in terms of like when they came here and they showed work that they had done for, say, Crystal Lake or McHenry County or Niles. These are some of the similar elements that they've done in these other communities. So we did purchase the Belong in Bartlett domain for 5 years. As of now, that's simply a landing page. They are helping us design some of our social media postings that we're going to be doing in the coming weeks and months. We kind of just hit on this about local attractions and community events. One of the things on here when it's not flashing is poster distribution. We're in the process, somebody mentioned QR codes, and we're getting the QR code, long story short, to link up with the correct landing page. And so, again, a lot of the chamber, Mike over and Streets of Bartlett, Bruce over at Banbury, you'll be seeing some poster distribution in the very near future that we're hoping a lot of businesses are willing to share, with the thought that Scott had mentioned that this is a multi-year, it's not just promoting a handful of businesses that are in this, it's promoting the village as a whole. And so that's one of the things I wanted to mention. Targeted ad boosts too. We'll start boosting some of our ads. So flyers, postcards, posters, all kinds of promotional materials, including T-shirts. This is driving me crazy with this flashing on and off. So this is an example of the landing page. If you go to the village's website right now, you'll see the We Belong in Bartlett in the spotlight. That's how we're couching it on the village website for the time being. So we're getting a lot of looks at that right now. That if you click on that, it goes to this landing page. And I want to reiterate, right now it is just a landing page with a basic branding message that A5 put together along with a little bit of input for us. I've got my contact on there right now because it's kind of business oriented for the time being, but this is our landing page that you're going to see us flushing out over the next few years. And again, you can see it's the similar type of photos.
And if you look at that where it says We Belong, as we start to get into Lake Street TIF and various trade shows, in terms of the economic development side outward, it's going to be You Belong. But right now it's just We Belong.
And I'm just going to show you a few examples. Again, there's Scott and I call them the Moore brothers. There's Perry and Sonny. There's one of their, I think that's a friend or relative of theirs who was there that day we were shooting photos. That mural's in their hallway. Like I said, we had a professional photographer come out and take probably 100+ pictures of each venue. So these are some of the posts, the types of posts you'll be seeing for our branding campaign. We'll be using these. So we got more brewing here. Next time it flashes over, there's Rebecca's Cakes by Design. Then again, Get Fresh Produce, the first three businesses. So these are examples of the photography and the type of look that our posts will have with the branding on them. Any questions? Okay. So again, we're here to talk about economic development. This is a postcard example where you show a couple of businesses. I think Commissioner Lewinsky and maybe somebody else at a previous meeting talked about using some maps on here for when you're doing the 30-minute elevator speech to somebody who doesn't know exactly where Bartlett is.
That looks nice.
Yeah, and again, we're going to get some quotes from people who we photograph. Everybody's not going to, it's not going to have to be a professional photographer coming out for a half hour on every photograph we use. Some of them will be from my Android phone, and Scott will be taking some with his phone. We'll use some various village equipment. A lot of times when I do these videos, like I showed you a few examples of last time, we just ask the businesses, can we take photos off of your Facebook page, or can you send us some? A lot of people like to send us photos. So again, they're not all going to be like only 3 or 4 venues, every season when we bring in a photographer. And anyway, I like the looks of this. This looks like something you'd be anybody would be proud to hand out something like this at a trade show.
And when we go down the road of the TIF district, actually, this is kind of what I'm most excited about, because that'll go to every single broker in the Chicagoland area. And the TIF district is on Route 20, so it's like a regional type of deal. So that'll come in real handy for when that comes to fruition.
Yeah, we'll maybe not have pictures of the way the buildings and the land look at the TIF right now, but we'll see, you know, there'll be probably some type of TIF map on there. Yes, Bruce?
Can't really read that, but what I can read, it says, "We are proud to be a part of Bartlett's vibrant manufacturing scene." Do you give bullet points why they're proud to,
Well, this is really just like
if you're selling, why they're proud to be a part of Bartlett's scene? Why?
well, that gibberish you see down there that's automatically populated, we can put whatever we'd like in there. We can always,
Maybe it's, you know, if I'm a broker or if I'm an investor, is it taxes? Is it transportation? What is it? Traffic? What is it that makes them proud to be a part of Bartlett's vibrant manufacturing? There must be reasons. That's what I would like to know if I'm a potential person.
no, that's just automatically populated with some gibberish. No, that's just an example. That would probably say something like Bartlett is a safe and prosperous community in the northwest suburbs and home to 500 businesses, Brewster Creek Business Park, a thriving downtown, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's only a couple sentences, and this is a slide put together by our branding consultants, so we can write whatever we want in it.
Verbiage is generic or is it specific?
Very generic. It's very generic.
Generic, okay.
Yeah. I mean, bear in mind that, well, number one, at trade shows, a lot of people don't want printed materials much anymore. But when you're doing it, you can always have, like, the back of it can be like a fact sheet, or it can be whatever, type of information you want to convey. Maybe not as great looking as these, but I've put together, just in like Microsoft, handouts for trade shows for years and years and years, where, whenever I'm here and I'm updating the demographics, we'll have something like that, or something very specific for industrial, which we don't promote a whole lot anymore because, as I mentioned a few times this year, our industrial's pretty much filled for the time being. It's not good. So, when it comes to an economic development focus, like Scott said, our biggest thing to promote is probably going to be the Lake Street TIF, and we're always looking to fill vacant spaces, throughout the community. So it's kind of a long answer, but we can change this as needed. It's just an example of what they call a postcard, but it's something you can print out and just put on the corner of your table at a trade show. Yeah, I mean, we can print them wherever a lot of the stuff we print on our printer upstairs, but sometimes we like something on like nice glossy.
We can print these in-house, but if you're gonna do, depending on our cost for mailing, if you do a bulk mailing versus specific mailing, stuff like that, but.
Yeah, usually we print those in-house. We get some heavy. Occasionally I like to print on something on a high gloss kind of heavy paper, and we send it out for printing. This is kind of I've been kind of over some of these again, but flyers, postcards, window clings in terms of the branding logo, and PowerPoint template, which again, our consultants mention that, but it's something that I can use, or you can use, or the chamber can use, just kind of plug it in terms of when we're out there promoting our branding. This is, again, also touches on something that we talked about a little earlier, And even though this is, again, a pretty simple little chart, it's something that we've looked at pretty hard, and we've changed it a few times in terms of radio and digital ads. We were originally going to start that like right now, July, August, so we pushed that out a little bit. And what you see there, September through November, kind of reflects some of the events that we just mentioned. Putting together something to promote Oktoberfest, something for Marion Bright, something for the tree lighting, getting out, ahead of it. So that's for radio and digital ads. And we're talking about doing something, it's not paid media appearances, really. There should be another little box in February, because like Scott was talking about, we were discussing doing a restaurant week early next year. So publications, we left blank. They had some plans for some kind of national and regionals. My own feeling on it was we should look kind of more locally and maybe get in the Daily Herald here and there for some of the events coming up. So as of now, that's in terms of print publications. We haven't completely flushed that out yet. Roadshow starting now, and then Google Ads and social media, they have it going throughout the whole year. Implementation schedule. This is, again, sorry for the small print, but it's all this and much more is in the packet. And, talked about some banner and T-shirt distribution, radio and digital ads on WGN and BBM, and all the way at the end of it, we have talking about ongoing updates and engagement with the EDC. But you can see we have a pretty, pretty good implementation schedule, planning this through the rest of this fiscal year when it stops flashing. So that is the latest and greatest. There's going to be a lot more to come. And I think now Scott and I are ready to hopefully answer any more questions you might have.
Yeah, and one thing just to keep in mind in terms of our internet reach, in terms of Google and Facebook, and we have Hootsuite, all the stuff we're doing we'll also be able to measure too. So you won't see that for a long time, probably like a year, but there are some measurables to this stuff as well.
And if we can, obviously, sorry, Oktoberfest, but I'm also thinking about like Maverick visits and stuff like that. Have they given any thought to, the t-shirts are great, but they're pricey, right? So you can't give every kid in the room a t-shirt. But doing like stickers that say, we belong, I belong, and then like Maverick could use those when he goes out on things, or we could use them at Oktoberfest, or just a ton of different places. But then also carrying on with that, not a sticker, but more of like, a name tag pin kind of thing. Having village officials having something that says, I belong, we belong. Even village staff, that would look really nice when you came in here and you saw those on people. Might be kind of a nice little neat touch, but I think the stickers would really kind of be a good way of getting a mass audience.
I like that idea too, and they're relatively low cost in comparison with some other items. So that's something we can definitely bring up with the consultants. We can just do it on our own. We can go on and, yeah.
It is, it's a great photo op.
Yeah.
It's another way of carrying that out and carrying it through.
That's a very good idea too. With the Never Far Away branding, we use that mostly for advertising, and we did ultimately do a lot of signage. The EDC, even when you were on it, we did wayfinding signage in 2010 with the branding logo on it, but never really got that reach out to the citizens or the residents with T-shirts and stickers and more signage, like Bruce says, where you can do selfies with it and hashtag it. Those are all good ideas.
You even if it's not signage, if it's a banner, like the Arts and Bartlett banner, they put out banners for their festival. If we had a You Belong in Bartlett banner accompanying it, the Oktoberfest banners that you put all over the place, if we had a banner to accompany that, tree lighting, so if permanent signage represents kind of a difficult challenge,
It is.
approvals and everything, banners seem we can do that.
Should have a "They Belong in Bartlett" for the Brewster Creek Industrial Park.
You were saying you put those signs in the industrial park?
Yeah. Have one for Brewster Creek, says "They Belong in Bartlett."
Yeah, we don't want to ignore the big manufacturers.
It seems like it's more directed towards the residents rather than,
Yeah, I mean, we're implementing it village-wide. We'll make sure to include the businesses out in Brewster Creek as well.
have a big sign out there at the entrance, "They Belong in Bartlett."
Something we'll consider for sure. Sorry for the flashing. I don't know why it's doing that.
So for what it's worth, flag. I'm gonna open up a flag.
I know you're leaving
Put a big
yourself,
flag
you're leaving
in
yourself
front
open there. I won't-
Right. As you all probably know, Banbury Fair is in the process of attempting to be sold. And so my days, our days here are numbered. So I have no axe to grind. I only want what's best for the village. And I don't intend to go to a village board meeting and make any scene or anything, but I would like everyone to know for the record, nothing against anybody, okay? Having the Arts and Bartlett Festival in Apple Orchard does nothing economically for downtown or most businesses. 4th of July does not do much. Christmas tree lighting, I love all these festivals. I take my grandchildren to every 3 days. I took them to the 4th of July. Christmas tree lighting, I'm there. I love these things, these events. But because they're located in these distant, isolated areas, Leisburg Park is adjacent to Streets in Bartlett, I give you that. But parking, back in the day when I was younger, I organized events in downtown Bartlett Heritage Days and different other events. Our downtown is nothing but empty parking lots in the weekend. Someone other than me, at some point, if you want to optimize the economic impact of these special events, they should be held in the downtown.
Well, I can just speak for Oktoberfest. We would love to be downtown. We had an option. We absolutely, we explored looking at Metro. That absolutely was not an option for us. And then once we became established, we're kind of at the point, because Leisburg Park is getting ready to go through a major change. I don't know if you guys know, but there's going to be a band shelter built at Leisburg Park. So that's their long-term goal. So Leisburg Park is going through a lot of changes. Once we landed in a home, we're kind of, that's our home now. And we need to keep that our home because that's, people have found us and that's where it is. We explored everything possible downtown for that very same reason, but it's not.
All I know is that we had Bartlett Heritage Days downtown. We had the car show on Oak Street. And I know the train is a safety issue, but you know what? I just watched the parade. I was right by the train. Other communities that have downtowns with trains have their events in their downtowns. They don't have them half a mile away in the middle of a soccer field. And so again, I'm not in the game anymore. I'm out of the game. I'm just saying, for my 40 years of experience, when we had events in downtown, our business and many of the businesses that I asked for donations for support for these events, 3 times, 4 times. When it's out in the middle of a soccer field someplace, it's moot. It doesn't focus on the economic growth of the downtown. That, for the record.
We felt with what we were doing and how we were setting it up, and alcohol sales as well, which is a concern now because we're in a different environment, right? People drink differently when they go to events and things like that, so there is more of a concern. People are more happy. There's just a little bit more liability issues there. Yes, there's issues with the train track and the fencing that would have to go along both sides of it. We already have a difficult time fencing off Leisburg Park, and that's snow fence.
But it wasn't mentioned.
No, we probably could have overcome that had we kept going to it maybe, but it would have been very difficult and very exhausting and daunting. It wouldn't have been, we wouldn't have been able to get the setup we were looking for.
These are volunteers. These are volunteer organizations that are serving the community, and I applaud them. And so if they find a home and it's convenient to do and they can do their deal, great. I go to the Oktoberfest. I love it.
Trust me, we get a lot of pressure for that event should be happening in Hanover Park because we are the Bartlett area Chamber of Commerce. So we take a lot of heat about that location and that we do it in Bartlett each year. You know, the talk is that it should rotate each year, which would be the death of a festival. So we get it. Location is never an easy thing.
I think part of it too is that it's one place that we can keep everything together. For Heritage Days, it was difficult because it was very spread out. People don't always want to go.
Well, the Marion Bright too has been great for the downtown. Because it's a 2-week thing. Because the following week, the Cocoa Crawl, we've gotten a lot of good feedback. We actually have data on that too. Some of the surveys we've sent out and stuff.
Great job. You know, again, you guys are doing a great job. I'm just sharing with you for the record. That's all.
And maybe that's what it needs to be. I mean, Cocoa Crawl is very successful down here. If we can't do an Oktoberfest down here, maybe there needs to be something else. Maybe there needs to be something in the springtime, like a Cocoa Crawl.
Well, I was just gonna say, I was just talking with one of my customers is a Lombard cop, and he was talking about the cruise nights parking lot. Has anybody ever thought, obviously someone needs to be a coordinator to it, but has anybody ever brought in
That's the
like a
challenge.
car show on, like every, I don't know, once a month? When the parking's free?
I mean, it's been individual businesses that have done that. Even when I think last meeting we showed the video for the Culvers, and the Culvers owner was talking about organizing some car nights. I know some of the businesses have done it in your shopping center previously, so they're almost like area by area.
Our last Heritage Days, I rented a rock climbing wall. Remember that? And we had it right between Associated Bank and Macy's. It was phenomenal. And then we had the car show down Oak Street. It was phenomenal. Instead of now the car show is on North Avenue. You know, that's great for the car show people, and I'll go to the car show, and I think it's wonderful, but it doesn't address the economic growth objective that we're talking about here.
Well, I think, it goes down to, you've already said that, this is all hosted by volunteers, and a car show would be a great thing, another event would be a great thing. All of these things are great, but I'm Who's gonna run it?
Who's
You know,
gonna do it?
I have to tell you the amount of time that we put in on
You're
Oktoberfest is
fried.
ungodly,
I
unreal.
know,
Not just
I
me
know.
from the chamber, not even Rotary or Lions, the amount of time that they put in, it matches us, you know? And it's just crazy to think of all of that volunteer time going into it, and we really need to capture.
Also, too, even the smaller community events, there's the police, public works.
I get it,
It's, yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, the whole public safety event, you know, we have to make sure.
Seems like Metro.
Thank you for listening. Again, I'm not trying to, for my benefit at this point.
No, I'm
There you
serious.
go, you could be the car show guy.
Yeah.
I plan all the events for, well, a lot of the events for the Raiders, and we talked about doing the car over there at the football field, but nobody was a halfway decent person to pull up on the lot. So, I'll talk.
Okay.
I got plenty of volunteers that would be voluntold.
I look
So
forward
I have on the,
to rollout. I think it's great. I think it's a great step forward. I do.
if anybody's doing a special event, we've got an easy online permit application. We're happy to help.
What's the status of the municipal parking lot right now? We're not seeing any increase in parking there, are we?
You're talking about in the Metro lots?
The one adjacent to, across from the train station.
The train station parking,
Big one, yeah. That's a municipal.
there are certain lots that are, some of the lots have shifted since the pandemic. But they're at about 60% parked, which is, to me, is astounding. I'm very surprised to see the amount of vehicles in our metro park.
Is 60% filled during the daytime?
Not on Fridays, not on Mondays,
Not today, right?
Tuesday through Thursday. Yeah,
Really?
about that.
I never noticed that.
Oh, yeah.
Every time I go by, it seems like it's pretty empty.
Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, it's pretty full.
Yeah, I walk past it every day, and it's fairly full on those 3 days.
Now, what's consistently open is when you go down, what is it called, East Railroad Avenue, down towards the water tower and
Yeah,
down there. That's like,
yeah.
it's like Death Valley. Nobody does anything.
There's-
That's an asset that's not being.
Isn't that the one I'm talking about?
Now that we're going down that path, I can tell you,
I think that's the one I'm talking about.
All right.
The one,
it is public, but Metra is creating a new line that's going to go down to Rockford from Chicago. So part of the rehab of the railroad, some of the major projects that they're making some changes on include Bartlett and Elgin. I think sometime in the next couple of years, the split platform is actually going to be consolidated. So in terms of where people park, that's going to change a lot over in a few years away. We haven't seen anything quite tangible yet, but that's actually coming down the pipeline.
well, the one I'm thinking about, I think is the one Bruce is talking about, the big one across from the other side of the train station. Across the
Talking
track.
about the water tower.
Yeah, by the water tower over there. That's the one I was referring to. That seems like it's mostly empty most of the time.
It's the most remote, so the further away you are, that's less parking.
Yeah, could that be rezoned for any other use if there's no foreseeable parking in the future?
It's a good question.
Kind of
Good
extension of,
question. It is
downtown
owned by
commercial?
Metro. That adds another layer of approvals and
that is zoning and planning.
Agreements.
That's not my business. so.
yeah.
Can I ask about the apartment building that was brought to us, we talked about? What's the status of that?
Well, You want to take that? It's,
Yeah, it's under, the purchaser purchased it, and they're still working on some amendments to the contract before they get started.
And then, Scott, you had something on Facebook about open space meeting at the Tickness campus or something? Is there some kind of a meeting?
I saw an event at the township, and I just clicked interested. I'll send you a note on it. I haven't read any details.
Okay, well, I think we inadvertently already moved into agenda item number 6, new business, so we can keep focusing on that.
I can add two things quickly to new business, because we've been talking for a long time also about the Lake Street TIF, and we're actually in this room next week on Thursday going to have the joint review board for that. So it's a project that's moving forward. For those of you unfamiliar with the term joint review board, it's when every taxing district within the TIF gets to appoint a representative to review the TIF plans and then to make a recommendation to the village board as to whether or not to adopt the new TIF. So that's coming up next week. Hopefully by next time we meet, I'll be able to tell you that TIF is moving forward full speed. And then just one other thing, and Bruce mentioned listing his property / business, I call it, on the market. I did a broker blast this month highlighting that property.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And as well as some vacancies over at Stearns Crossing, and that's the shopping center with Amita in it, or whatever they're called now, at the corner of Stearns and 59. I mentioned sending out or highlighting the Banbury Fair property because, again, I put in there that it's a very, very unique, iconic property right in the middle of downtown Bartlett. So we want to see the right kind of.
On the door.
You're not?
They're not. We're hopeful.
I was going to further report that the broker blast went to 316 recipients. 191 of them opened it, so that's a pretty good rate. 46 clicks and 20 of them on the Banbury Fair property. That was the most clicks on that particular email blast. So I'm adding more area brokers to it. So hopefully it'll be more than 191 people looking at it next time we send it out. That's all I had for new business.
Any of the commissioners have any other new business to discuss?
Great job at the 4th of July. Great job with the parade. It was well managed.
It was a nice job putting the tent up. That was good. I thought it was going to collapse yesterday afternoon with all the rain, but it held up.
Yeah, one nice thing I'll add about the 4th of July Fest this year is Mo's Heroes and Issa's were both part of the fest, so there was some nice local businesses there. And I walked around after the parade, and they had said it was the best 4th of July they've ever had. So that's good.
One last comment. Disappointed the flags are still up.
The advertising flags.
Slots.
Yeah, I looked at the meeting and listened to it it was back November when Christie came here and the EDC went over it and made a series of recommendations. The board heard those recommendations in early December. I spoke with Christie about it and was informed that they're hoping to bring a new ordinance to the Planning and Zoning Commission by the end of this year on it. So no, as of now, no changes have been made from an ordinance or regulation standpoint on the signage. It's on his own property as far as we know, and I don't think there's anything preventing it at this point.
Brought back, right?
Yeah, it's being brought back.
Yeah, and it's being,
Sign ordinance. Except the sign.
Except, I'm sorry? Yeah, the whole, the series,
To not have the flags up there, except it's in violation of the sign ordinance. Unless the sign ordinance has been amended that allows any business to put up as many flags as they want on their property, month after month after month. Once again, I'm out. You know, I don't think it's good for the image of the village to have slot signs. I just don't.
we agree. Yes,
that's what's being brought back.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's an entire ordinance. It wasn't, that was a large discussion point, but the other discussion points were total square footage of the signs. You recall talking about how many they could have facing different sides based upon their location. I listened to the whole thing today. They discussed how much of a window could be covered. There were numerous elements to it. It's a whole chapter of the zoning ordinance.
Well, with no further discussion of new business, adjournment would be next. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
1
Unanimous.
hour.
Thank you, yep, right under 1 hour.
Okay, unanimous vote to adjourn.